Hey guys, it's Amanda, and today I want to discuss the death of the It Girl and the rise of the People's Princess. Ever since I saw this article from W Magazine, I haven't been able to get this idea out of my head, so I figured I'd just talk about it for the next 20 minutes. In the age of flimsy, girl-fueled microtrends, I find it kind of ironic that It Girl is on the outs while People's Princess is on the rise. Perhaps we have reached peak girl fatigue and we're ready to move on to something more mature. If you're not chronically online, People's Princess is a new term among the celebrity obsessed. The article describes it as such. A People's Princess isn't quite an it girl. There's something more normal, everyday, and attainable about a People's Princess. She is among her fans, not above them. She may even be in on the joke when it comes to the cult of celebrity. In other words, the People's Princess is relatable, authentic, and often an underdog, someone who you want to root for in a talent pool overflowing with nepo babies and industry plants. Names that come to mind are model Alex Kasani, actress Greta Lee, and multi-hyphenates like Ayo Edebiri and Quinta Brunson. While talent is what puts a People's Princess in the limelight, the PR circuit is what tends to define our perception of them. Their performances as celebrities are perhaps more talked about than their performances as artists. Ayo Edebiri notably swept every acting award she was nominated for last season and gained a ton of media attention because of her endearing acceptance speeches.
There's so many people who I probably forgot to thank. Oh my god, all of my agents and managers' assistants.
People's Princesses often showcase a reluctance to or detachment from fame, combined with a clear-eyed understanding of how being famous affects mental health and the ways Hollywood can be a detrimental and damaging industry. A People's Princess is nothing if not relatable. That's one of the biggest differences between her and an it girl, someone who is so inexplicably above reproach that her X factor is boiled down to it. But the People's Princess isn't necessarily the antithesis of the it girl. She's an updated version, fit for a world where relatability is the order of the day. It girl being slowly shoved aside by a term that is much more dramatic, yet is meant to denote someone who is, in the most positive sense, more pedestrian, feels emblematic of the internet's ability to strip language of its meaning. Of course, the princess part still implies that there is a pedestal at play. She is, after all, a celebrity. While the People's Princess is not as basic as the girl next door, she lacks the aloofness of an it girl. She is an unproblematic fave. So in today's video, I want to explore the evolution of the it girl and the People's Princess archetypes. My theory is that the accessibility the internet affords us has started to render the it girl obsolete. Instead, we get a rotation of clean girl, that girl, and vanilla girl, who really amount to nothing more than an amalgamation of Amazon storefront links. The People's Princess, on the other hand, is a less consumerist version of this, because she's herself. Her personality is the product, and unfortunately, you can't buy charm. So I'll start by breaking down the origins of the People's Princess, then get into It Girl. But let's start with the OGPP. Princess Diana. Long before People's Princess could be used to refer to any down-to-earth starlet, it was synonymous with one woman, Diana, Princess of Wales. The term People's Princess was first printed in a 1992 article by Julie Birchill in the Modern Review when she described Diana as the one and only People's and Pop's Princess. 5 years later, in August of 1997, Diana tragically died in a paparazzi-fueled car crash at the age of 36. The tight-lipped royal family released a short statement announcing that they were deeply shocked and distressed by Diana's untimely death. The statement was perceived as insufficient compared to the outpouring of grief by the British public and beyond. Then Prime Minister of the UK, Tony Blair, recognized this, and before the public's anger about the royal statement could boil into rage, he offered his condolences to Diana's family in a public and decidedly more heartfelt speech.
She was the People's Princess, and that's how she will stay, how she will remain in our hearts and in our memories forever.
It was in this gesture that the term People's Princess became a lasting sobriquet, a given nickname for Diana. Reflecting on the statement 13 years later in his autobiography, A Journey, Blair described the phrase as sounding like something from another age, corny and over the top, but at the time, he says, it felt natural and captured how she saw herself and how she should be remembered. He felt that what people loved about her was that she was a princess, but still vulnerable, capable of healing wounds because she knew what it was like to be wounded, which is honestly a really beautiful way to be remembered. Diana was known for using her fame to raise awareness for taboo causes like leprosy, domestic violence, and mental health. In 1987, she famously challenged the misinformation surrounding HIV/AIDS by shaking hands with an AIDS patient to show that it couldn't be spread through touch. Like most people who marry into the monarchy, Diana was born into money, but once she actually entered the royal family, she became somewhat of an outcast for wanting to do things differently, i.e. actually make a difference. Instead of just parading around the people, she wanted to be amongst them. When stories came out about her mistreatment and loneliness, especially in the wake of Prince Charles's affair with Camilla Bowles, the public sympathized with Diana. After all, she was their princess. On the internet these days, people's princess is synonymous with any relatable celebrity. She doesn't necessarily have to be a victim like Diana, but there's a sense that she doesn't take herself or her fame too seriously, and that she doesn't take the people who helped her get there, the fans, for granted. So what is the difference between a people's princess and an it girl? It girls seem to gain prominence among a small cultural scene in one place, while the people's princess is more like an overnight celebrity. You blink and suddenly she's everywhere. But the meaning of it girl has drastically changed over the years, so let's go back to where it all started. Hollywood. In 1927, Paramount Studios released the silent film It, no, not that one, It starring Clara Bow. It popularized the concept of the it girl, which it defined as the quality possessed by some which draws all others with its magnet force. The film served as a star vehicle for Bow and turned her into one of the most famous actresses of the time. While the film introduced Americans to the it girl, the term originated in British upper-class society, and currently the British usage is meant to describe a young, rich woman who has achieved celebrity because of her socialite lifestyle. In the American context, it girl generally refers to a glamorous, attractive woman who is known for being known. One of the most quintessential it girls of all time is Chloë Sevigny. In 1994, at 19 years old, Sevigny was profiled in The New Yorker and deemed the ultimate it girl. At the time, she was far from a household name, but a fixture in the downtown Manhattan scene. The writer of the piece referred to her as one of the coolest girls in the world. She had appeared in a Sonic Youth music video and was scouted to model and intern at Sassy magazine. When the piece was written, she was acting as the lead in the controversial but critically acclaimed film Kids, not because she auditioned for it, but because her friend Harmony Korine wrote the role with her in mind. It's clear that she wasn't the kind of girl who dreamed of being in the spotlight, but it seemed to follow her. Reading the piece now, it feels like Chloë Sevigny was like a prototype for the modern day influencer. Instead of commenting, "Where did you get your shoes?" young women regularly approached her and asked. Instead of affiliate links, she'd say her pieces were thrifted or from pop-up markets on Canal Street. But what sets her apart from the present-day influencer is what McInerney described as her seeming indifference to marketing herself, which may be her most attractive quality. There wasn't much glamour to be found in Sevigny's life. In fact, it was the opposite, grunginess, but it still managed to offer her an interesting allure. While some people's wealth was worth gawking at, the elusive alternativeness of her lifestyle is what made it so intriguing. She didn't have a phone, she didn't have a permanent residence, and if she didn't have anywhere to sleep, she'd just party all night. While a stream of equally grungy and exponentially more glamorous girls have followed in Sevigny's footsteps, what has shaken up the politics of the it girl more than anything is the internet. Before the World Wide Web, an it girl's rise to prominence was relatively grassroots. It started with being influential amongst peers, and then a writer or photographer would document her it factor outfits and escapades. She never spoke for herself. the reporters did. Reflecting on her career-defining New Yorker profile 30 years later, Chloë Sevigny claims McInerney misrepresented her in some ways. She said, "He didn't really get my essence. It just wasn't me. I was being very guarded. I wasn't as blasé as he was making me out to be. The only reason I agreed to do any of it was because he promised to buy me a helmet-laying dress, but he never did." If there isn't a sense of trust between a journalist and subject, a lot of things can get lost in translation. Thanks to social media, it girls have complete creative control over their narrative. The press isn't as powerful if you have your own platform. Except, wasn't that the essence of an it girl? The fact that she could command attention without trying? When you post on social media, you're practically begging for it, which begs the question, did Instagram empower or kill the it girl? Honestly, neither. I think it transformed her into an influencer. The path to it girldom then, style and charisma, feels practically provincial compared to what it takes now. Wi-Fi signal and a ring light. The it girl of yesteryear was hand-picked by people, and the influencers of today are optimized by the algorithm. While it was considered chic for an it girl to be utterly unconcerned with commercialism, the modern day it girl, the influencer, is known for monetizing her life through a series of ads and affiliate links. The Cut's 2023 It Girl issue reads, "Browse through an it girl's Instagram and the telltale #partner tag will inevitably bubble up." Since the 2010s, when social media went mainstream, it girls and influencing became inextricable. We had unprecedented access to the kinds of people we'd never really know without the internet. An example of this is Glossier founder Emily Weiss's blog Into the Gloss, where she launched a popular series called Top Shelf. The series was part profile, part voyeuristic look into the bathrooms and beauty routines of New York City's it girls. After skimming a piece, you could find the exact moisturizer or lip color that an impossibly cool model also sported. Top Shelf was sort of the prototype for influencers constantly sharing what products they were using. Whenever I watch lifestyle type vloggers, it feels like the influencer is constantly referencing products, and if you watch enough of them, you're nearly desensitized to it. They don't speak in nouns, they speak in products. The influencer is never just applying lip balm, she's telling you exactly where she got it from and that you can find a link to it somewhere on her profile. I don't want to act like these influencers are doing this for no reason though. If you look at their comment sections, people are asking where they got their claw clips, water bottles, even plain white socks. These kinds of comments have culminated into an outrageous TikTok trend. Hot girls don't gatekeep. In these videos, users promise to reveal their secret to being a self-proclaimed hot girl, and the secret is, you guessed it, a plethora of products. I say this trend is outrageous because no one was gatekeeping these things to begin with. Can you name an influencer who has actively tried to avoid telling her followers what color blush she's wearing or the style of jeans she sports? No. No one was gatekeeping this information. You just didn't know about these products because you probably didn't need to. The hot girls in question aren't some benevolent people doling out beauty secrets to us uglies. Hot girls don't gatekeep because it makes them money. It's why TikTok is being overrun with affiliate marketing links. There was a point in time where we didn't have access to every product we laid our eyeballs on, and we survived. Maybe we were better off. While the premise of Hot Girls Don't Gatekeep promises inclusivity, everyone can be beautiful with these things, it ultimately serves companies as a vehicle to push more products. It's kind of a side effect of an increasingly malleable beauty standard that counts people of darker skin colors and larger sizes as beautiful, but will never fully accept everyone because if it did, beauty as something to strive for wouldn't exist, and we wouldn't have a use for the products that promise to get us there. This trend seems to be a thinly veiled ploy to get people to buy more stuff they don't need, so maybe we should gatekeep it. I think on the internet, we also feel like we're entitled to all sorts of information that we don't necessarily need, which has led this anti-gatekeeping movement to kind of get out of hand. Look no farther than Laura Harrier, who wants it girls to go back to gatekeeping. In an interview with The Cut, she says, I feel like we need to go back to gatekeeping. Everyone is sharing way too much information. We've all worked hard to find places and a distinct style, and I don't think it should be given out on the internet all the time. She continues, what I love is curation, and that's why I'm not trying to be bitchy about gatekeeping. Still, I think what makes style fun and interesting and what elevates a taste level is a high level of selectivity and curation. This is a good take. Honestly, what happened to the days of hyperfixating on minor differences to assert our individuality? Are we too lazy for that now? Are we asking people where they purchase white socks? Is this what it's come to? In the age of overconsumption, discernment is more important than ever. In an anti-hot girls don't gatekeep opinion piece, Cassie David writes, it's not a crime to keep certain things to yourself. In fact, withholding certain information in certain contexts, such as which mundane serum you slather onto your skin every day, suggests self-awareness and perhaps more importantly, restraint. A lack of restraint seems to be at the heart of this trend and at the heart of our culture at large. Do I think it's a moral failing to recommend products? Of course not. Do I think it's a sin to ask or tell someone where you got your top? No, especially if these conversations occur in real life. I think it's a totally normal thing to ask a friend or a stranger because 9 times out of 10, it serves as a compliment or even a conversation starter. I specifically have one coat that I know when I wear it, people will talk to me, and I love it. In those moments, I feel like an it girl. Which reminds me that this video was supposed to be about the differences between a people's princess and an it girl, but I kind of lost the plot. I do like where we ended up though, which is rampant consumerism is bad and personal taste is ultimately good. Okay, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your thoughts below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!